To eat or not to eat? That's the question, but what's the answer? If you're like me and you love food, that's what you ask yourself all day, every day, even if you're not hungry. But most people base their food off of taste or even appearance. If it looks good, must taste good, must be good for me, right? But that's not always the case. And since 97% of Americans live an unhealthy lifestyle, I think it's time to make a change. That starts with your nutrition. But before you know how to make the change, you have to know where your calories are coming from. And they come from three places: your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. I will demonstrate today how to balance your diet by reading a nutrition label, converting your grams to calories, and then making necessary adjustments to achieve the perfect 50-30-20, which is a balanced diet. So, let's first look at a nutrition label. This will give you all the information you need. At the top, you'll see serving size, servings per container, and then the calories, which are per serving. It's really important to note the serving size because that varies depending on a food. Once you have your calories, you can go to your macronutrients, which are fat, which is broken down into saturated, trans fats, and then unsaturated, which are known as the good fats. Once you know your fat, you go to total carbohydrates. These are broken down into dietary fiber, and then, as we all know and love, sugars. Once you have that, the last one to look at is proteins, which are also broken down into grams like fat and carbs, but the higher the number, the better for these. Now that you know what you're looking for, let's see what to do with this information. You'll take that information, which you noted is in grams, but it gives you the top calories, and you'll change grams to calories to see just how much of you're eating of each of those. So, for example, on the nutrition label it says 5 grams of fat. Well, for every gram of fat, it's 9 calories. That's significantly more than your carbohydrates and your proteins, which are both 4 calories per gram. So if you have 5 grams of fat on that label, you multiply it by 9, and that's 45 calories. If there's only 4 grams of carbs in that, you multiply it by 4, and that's 16 calories. And the same goes for proteins. You multiply it by 4 to get 8 calories if there's 2 grams of proteins. So if you take a look here, you'll see that now where the nutrition label showed 5 grams of fat, 4 grams of carbs, and 2 grams of protein, you now know how many calories you're getting, which is 45 calories, 16 calories, and 8 calories. Now if you notice here, 45 calories is significantly more than the other two. So this isn't a balanced meal right here. But I will tell you how to change that. You'll then turn in your calories into a percentage to achieve a balanced diet. Now your goal here is a perfect 50-30-20. That's 50% carbohydrates, 30% protein, and 20% fat. Now, it's really easy to get 50% or more of carbohydrates, and it's really easy to get at least 20% of fat, knowing that it counts for way more, being 9 calories per gram. So just make sure you're including enough protein in your diet, which many of us don't do. Now, it's also important to note that this is all based on your calorie goal, which is specific for each person. So, there's 2 ways to do this to get the percentages. The first way is the simple math that I showed you, which just takes a little time, or you can simply download an app called MyPlate or MyFitnessPal, which is what I do because I just don't have the time to sit there and figure all this out, but I really would like to have a balanced diet. And so, if you have that app, this is the layout for it. It'll show you the percentages, and then on the side, it'll show you the total grams that you've had. So when you go to eat something, like this Clif Bar, you just scan the barcode, and then it enters all of this for you, and will put it in a graph and grams. And so if you do that for all your foods that you eat that day, by the end of the day, you'll be able to see if you had a balanced diet or not. If you do, it'll be this 50-30-20. And if you're a little high or a little low, just make sure that you get enough protein. And it's always good to be lower on your fat because most of us consume too much fat anyways, and too much sugar, which is a part of carbohydrates. So now that you know that information, let's just go over one more time exactly how to balance your diet, just to make sure you get it. You'll look at the nutrition label. You'll convert the grams to calories, since the nutrition label doesn't provide that for you. And then once you have that, you'll adjust to get the perfect 50-30-20, which is 50% carbs, 30% protein, and 20% fat. To eat or not to eat, the choice is yours. What will you choose?